ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome to this wonderful little interview bit, Venus Terzo.
Hi, everybody.
And Marilyn Lightstone. So you guys, aside from being, from what I can tell, pretty cool people, you also have the honor of being the first female voice actor guests at TFcon.
Gosh, I guess that's the case.
Isn't that great? Yeah. I'm so honored to hear
simultaneously.
that.
So now that we're at the end of Saturday, the end of a lot of your guys' on schedule time, I just wanted to ask you guys how you feel the day went. I guess starting with Venus.
My day started off just perfect. I had a great night's sleep. I love the hotel where the venue's being held. Woke up, went to the gym, had a little coffee, got ready, came down, started my day, and our day started with a question and answer panel. It's my first time meeting Marilyn, and it's her first time coming to one of these events, so it was, kind of a cool feeling all around. I thought everyone was very receptive, very cool, very welcoming, and very happy for us to be here. And and I in turn am actually really happy and pleased to be here myself.
Awesome. And Marilyn, as for yourself, I mean, this is your first one of these kind of conventions. Was it an interesting experience?
Absolutely. Of course, I had no idea what to expect, so everything was just sort of coming at me, and I was just responding. But the first thing I noticed when I walked through the door and Hillary approached me, Haley, was just how super organized everything was. It wasn't, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to be? What, like, who is it that's taking care of me? It was really professionally done, and I truly appreciate that. And vis-a-vis the content of the day, again, I just kind of responded to what was required of me, and I enjoy that. I enjoy doing things kind of off the cuff, and people were just so welcoming and responsive to the work that we do. And that's, for any performer, that's in the end the important thing. Do people like what you do? Do they remember what you do in a positive light? And that's why we do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. In your case particularly, when your announcement happened, I was kind of gobsmacked because we rarely have anyone from the Hanna-Barbera end at these Transformers shows, let alone folks, because a lot of folks who were on GoBots were also on Transformers, like Frank Welker being a very easy example.
Yes, my goodness. And, I hope he's still alive and well and thriving in LA.
He is.
What a voice.
He got in on the newest Transformers series doing Megatron again.
Great.
So he's still very active and apparently making lots of money sounding like various animals and objects.
I'm glad to hear, because you know what? Around the time that I was in LA doing voice work, this new thing happened where suddenly big Hollywood stars who already were gazillionaires were asked to do starring roles for animation voices. And that was the first time that had happened, because previously people like Frank, and equally professional, wonderful voice actors did all the voice work. There was a clear separation. There were the movie actors and there were the voice actors. And suddenly, the movie actors were the voice actors, and I thought that was so unfair, especially to people like Frank. So I'm glad to know that he's still in the game and doing so well.
Yeah, he's been quite active, even actually renewing one of his Scooby-Doo roles quite recently.
Yes.
But I was really curious how things would go, because like Venus, you've been to conventions here and there. I remember the last BotCon you were at was 2000, which was my first one, so that was kind of cool.
Right.
And you've had the experience of people's being really attached to your character, or sometimes even making really weird requests like, what does Black Arachnia sound like when she's bicycling inside a submarine or something like that. And I was really curious, maybe a little worried how things would go when, Marilyn, when you came here, because your character in GoBots, speaking for myself at least and for many others, was one of the most memorable, not just for the performance, but also for being a very strong and non-heroic female character in an 80s cartoon.
That's probably true. But the thing I most remember about Crush was that I think she was absolutely insane. So it wasn't just that she was mean or powerful. She was really crazy.
Yeah. So I was curious how this would go for you. I wasn't even sure if you would, because we've had voice actors come in from decades past who just say, and it's completely fine that they just don't really remember the particular voice we're drawing from in the guest invite. It's kind of that syndrome of the stormtrooper actor from Star Wars,
yes,
who was the one who bumped his head and
yes,
saying, "Can you bump your head for us all?" So I was actually really kind of giddy when you did a crasher laugh during that script reading, because I wasn't sure if it was even going to be in there still.
Well, we snuck it in there because there really wasn't a laugh in the script. We're talking to Phil who wrote the script. So, well, there's just a little sort of grunt sound. You could try to do a little laugh, squeeze it in, but
yeah, that was really cool.
Thank you.
So you guys you actually had a shared Q&A panel, and I made a point of checking that one out because I was, again, just really curious how things would go. And did you guys feel pretty cool with how that went, with the questions?
Absolutely. I thought the questions, absolutely, yeah. I think people, asked, what they were curious about, and I think Marilyn, especially for her first time coming to one of these, handled herself very well, and I think they really enjoyed our little banter, and that we worked off of each other. And I think it went really well. And again, I mean, people love these shows. They're fans, right? So that's why they're here at this convention, and that's what makes it enjoyable for us. Is that we've done our work, and they really resonates with them. They appreciate it. They enjoy it, and they want to come here and tell us how much they do, and that means a lot. So I think it went well, and I think it was a lot of fun. And I mean, the time flew, and before you know it, it was like, okay, we're whisked away for something else. So yeah, no, it was
but
great.
I think one of the reasons why it worked was because this lady knows what she's doing. Sometimes you have to work with someone in a kind of a situation where the two of you are working together, and the other person really isn't quite up to it. It does happen. People can be wonderful actors, but they're kind of lame at giving interviews or talking in public as their own selves, and they just don't pick up the ball, or they go on too long or whatever. There's no reciprocity. The idea that you're a team, even temporary, you're a team. They're in it for themselves, whether out of design or because of ignorance. So that can be painful. I mean, you get kind of you're relieved when that's over. But working with someone like this lady is something else entirely.
Oh, she's so great. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, because we've had many 2 or even 3 voice actor panels in the past, and often the ones that I find do hit stumbling blocks are ones where people on the panel have not actually worked together in the medium, especially in the medium of the convention itself. So I thought you guys did a really great job, because a little bit of a side story. We had in 2009's BotCon a bit of a strange panel. We had David Kay up there, who has been to many, many panels,
right.
and he was put up there with Weird Al Yankovic, who was up there as a voice actor and not as Weird Al Yankovic, the musician. And that was an odd panel.
Well, there you go.
It took a little while for a cadence to really start to establish, and also people were asking Al very voice actor questions. And I mean, as I said, you know that it can get kind of I'm going to put a nickel in the machine and I want you to do this for me. And
Right. No, I think people were just, the questions were general, right? Questions.
Yes.
I mean, that they just wanted to know, curious about certain things of our character. I mean, you got to be realistic. I have in the past, someone said, oh, when you were doing that scene, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
A lot of times you don't get to think. You just do, because you've got the script in front of you. You know exactly what the director wants. I mean, you might put your input as an actor and as an artist, but at the end of the day, it's what the director wants or what they need in that particular moment or scene. They will get that out of you, So sometimes you don't think and you just do, and that would be the answer to a question like that. And and at the end of the day, let's not forget it's our voice. It's not our whole being, and the character's driven. So it's a collaboration between myself and the artist. So you're hoping that at the end of the day, the two mesh together nicely, and that the final product is what what the fans hope for, and that you hope for as an artist, that your performance would be, right?
It's collaborative.
That's right. Yeah.
Also, the best acting is reacting. You take with somebody, you bounce off somebody else, and that's really what the best kind of acting is. It's like being doing a team sport, really.
Right.
Knowing what the other person needs, wants, and helping each other.
I love the energy you get when you have people like playing off each other and doing something. Like, improv is a beautiful source for that kind of thing.
But at the end of the day, I have to say, I think our panel went really well, and you know why? Because we're women.
Well, that's another thing too. Also, we because the fact that the role of women, in the world that we live in and work in, is different from that of the men.
Right.
So we take that as a given. We start from there, and we know we don't have to. There was another guy. His position in the profession is different.
It's different.
It's different. It's different for women. It's harder for women. And we know that.
And we know that.
Yeah, and you guys, like I said, that panel was great. I was really happy that it ran so naturally. And one quick thing, going off the panel, I'd gone up to ask a couple questions. One of the questions I asked was about your visual art, and you had mentioned that you were just recently sort of retiring from that and passing your. I thought it was a great notion, passing on your work to.
Yeah.
Was it
I'm
St.
hoping it'll
John's?
inspire other visual artists to do the same thing. I know some do already, but it just doesn't occur to other artists that, you know, we've all got a lot of inventory going, and why should it just sit there being inventory when it can be really used for doing good? And one of my personal things is a bit off target, but I really believe in the healing power of art. Art, music, whatever, whatever, performance art, to help people get well. And the hospital where my work is going, it's a wonderful hospital, St. Joe's. But we toured the patient lounges the other day, and they're really dowdy, bleak, stark, and they have no budget for art. That's the thing. And though even the medical establishment, like the educational establishment, pays lip service to the importance of art and music, that's the first thing always that goes when they're cutting any kind of budget.
Oh,
Bingo,
yeah.
off.
I mean, I actually kind of like going on tangents on these things, but
Thank you. Thank you for letting me get that in.
I've been there for the destruction of music programs. When I was in high school, our band teacher told us, come to this school council meeting, this council meeting. Just come here and watch what happens. So we went there. We watched the K7 strings program of our province just get nullified because it was a split vote, and the deciding vote had a place to be. So he said, all right, let's just get rid of it so we can get out of here.
Wow.
And I was like,
Breaks my heart. Breaks my heart.
so yeah, and that's why I really like I like seeing you know, with any voice actor, I love seeing what else you guys do. Like in your case, I caught one of your interviews on YouTube of one of the exhibits you were a part of, and particularly with voice actors from that era, I love seeing, you know, a thriving creative still active and still at it. So that was, you know, I just wanted to say that was a very cool discovery to make, because I feel bad, but until I see, you know, a guest announcement, sometimes, like, unless I'm cruising through a Wikipedia, a role does not quite jump to mind until it's presented. Then I go and research it, and I found some really cool stuff. So,
That's great.
and Venus, I wanted to ask you, this is a bit less of a tangent, it's more of a Transformers-y thing, but your role of Black Arachnia has become one of the tenets of Transformers now as a franchise and brand, in that shows long past Beast Wars have now begun to reference the Black Arachnia character, if not outright homage or include the character. So Black Arachnia has now become one of the character templates in Transformers almost, and a lot of that cycles back to, you know, your performance back in the Beast Wars Beast Machines days. So is that something that you find interesting to see? Like in the current show of that's airing right now, they have a lady spider evil robot called Arachnid, who's portrayed by, just fell out of my mind.
Some other female lesser actor.
She plays Wash's girlfriend.
Wash's Gina Torres.
Gina Torres. That's right. They have a couple of big name actors on Prime, big-ish name actors on Prime, and so they created a very Black Arachnia character in Prime, and it feels like that is becoming just one of those tropes or templates we see in Transformers. We start referring to a character as, oh, that's a Black Arachnia.
Right.
So just looking at that and looking back on the work as it began, like how does that feel to know that you've sort of created a character template inside the mythos?
That's really cool. Well, I mean, of course, it's like any project you work on, it's a team effort, and I mean, I brought the voice to it, but you know, you've got, you know, the producers and the mixers and the director and the writers and, you know, all these people that come together to create this character, right? And it's my voice up there, but that was, you know, with the help of all these other people. So I think that it's great. I think it's cool. I think it's awesome. I think it's great for women and important for young girls too, to have, I mean, I don't know if Black Arachnia is necessarily a role model, but to have, you know, strong female characters in shows that, you know, both, you know, boys and girls can watch and appreciate and respect. You know what I mean? So I think that's very cool. It makes me feel really, really good. And again, I mean, coming to these conventions is just a payoff, really, of the work that we do and getting recognized and feeling special for the day. And so I think it's great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's also great hearing about some of the stories you guys have from the process of getting into those roles that you you know have been invited here for. I was actually really interested to hear about the Hanna-Barbera side of voice acting because I know so little about it. A lot of the 80s era voice actors we speak with are often folks who worked with Wally Burr on that series of productions. So I thought that was neat that Hanna-Barbera, it sounds like they kind of created their own stable. And
They did actually. And they're the only people I know of who, at the time at any rate, did auditions. And it was a wonderful process. They had, a whole bunch of characters, drawn for you. And you had to select 7, 10, I can't remember quite how many, and create voices for them. And that was your audition. So you got a chance to do your stuff. And once you kind of were established with Hanna-Barbera, the other studios just picked you up.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's... I've always watched a lot of Hanna-Barbera shows, and when I look back on them, it's interesting just hearing all these very familiar voices, but they're almost this kind of separate little cadre that are just outside of, or on their own, outside of a lot of the other 80s shows that you look back upon. Just checking our time here. I had one other question I'd like to ask you guys. I tend to ask a lot of voice actors who come to these shows, which is, did you have any really memorable, kind of quirky, odd fan encounters or moments at the show? Like something that really stuck out to you? The one I often reference is David Kaye was once asked to sign a baby. It happened.
It happened. No, just not strange encounters, but just really cool and heartwarming encounters. Like people came up to our autograph signing today and presented myself and Marilyn with gifts, and that's really cool. And especially when it's something that they make, like for instance, this bracelet. This girl Courtney made this. It's a black arachnia bracelet.
Oh, nice.
And
Let's get a better shot of that.
Which is really nice, and it's got a little spider in a web, and I just thought that's really cool. And not to mention all the wonderful artists that do the drawings and present me with their artwork, and it's awesome. Yeah, I can't describe. That's just so cool. Just someone that sat down and put all the work into that and then just presented it to me. It really makes me feel good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's a real link.
Yeah.
No kooky encounters, I'm afraid.
No.
And please do not bring me your progeny to sign that.
It's something I don't think can really be touched. David Kaye had that moment, and I've shared that with a couple of people. A lot of them have just thrown their hands up and said, well, he did better.
Listen, I want to thank all of you for being such a wonderful cast for the recording we did for the show. I thought I was tremendously impressed.
Fun.
I thought, oh my goodness, who's going to be doing these voices? And what is going to I really was expecting the worst, or I thought I wouldn't have been surprised if it had not been quite up to snuff. But I thought you were fantastic.
Well, a lot of fans of these kind of shows, I'm kind of speaking on behalf of people, and I don't mean to, but a lot of us tend to have a real interest in voice acting because it's one of the cores of the media that got us into this stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans want to get it in their teen years, in their 20s, they just say, I want to be a voice actor. And it's kind of in the back of their head because it's something they love to listen to, it's something they love to watch and be a part of. So that's why I really like that TFcon does these annual fan voicing things, because it can get goofy, it can get a little bit now and then, but it's such a great passion being put on display.
It was great.
And also just a personal thing, but I've always, of GoBots, I have always really been a huge fan of Psykill, Crasher, and Coptor. So getting to basically be Psykill in a script reading with you playing Crasher was pretty...
A dream come true?
That was bucket list material. That was... that's going in a journal, handwritten, not typed.
I hope all your wishes are equally easily fulfilled.
So before we go, I'd figure I'd ask you guys, where people can find you, what you might be up to right now. I know, Marilyn, you're doing quite regularly radio stuff with a
Yes, I do.
presentation.
I'm the voice, the signature voice of Vision TV, One TV, Joy TV, and I also have my nightly classical music cum poetry show between 11 and 1 o'clock every night in our time zone on classical 963.3 FM. And if you go to the website, you can also listen to podcasts any time of the day or night, or online anywhere in the world.
I really appreciated also that you specified that there's very little Crasher or GoBot material on those shows.
None whatsoever.
Gave me quite a funny idea.
I've got to send people off to sleep at that time of the night, so I try to avoid anything that might disturb them unnecessarily.
Just bust out a Crasher laugh at about 1 in the morning to see what happens. And Venus, what are you up to these days?
Well, I had a movie that I worked on with a WWE star, Randy Orton, called 12 Rounds Reloaded, that was just released recently. So you should be able to get it on your TV channel. And I have a couple projects. One I just finished for Hallmark. It was a 2-hour movie pilot called The Mystery Cruise, and that probably should be coming out in September or January, not sure. And also another movie I did called Baby Sellers that we just wrapped about a couple months ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So folks can look up all those titles to see where they are in production, if they're out on DVD or television or whatnot.
Well, the latter two that I mentioned are not going to be out just yet, but 12 Rounds Reloaded, just got released, I think, end of April.
Cool. What's it? A bit of a tangent, but was that a WWE Studios?
It was
film?
WWE Fox co-production.
Yeah.
And it was a direct-to-DVD movie that we filmed in Vancouver. And Randy Orton, very cool. It was his first ever acting job, and he's a professional wrestler, and he's got a huge following. But because they're wrestlers, they do their thing, in the ring. He did a fantastic job, I thought, for his first time out. He came to play, and he was prepared.
I always wonder if those guys and girls from WWE, when they get into those WWE studio pictures, I always wonder if there is some kind of odd, oh wait, there's no crowd to play off, stage fright or something like that. But
that's interesting, because I did ask him a question about that regarding, and he says basically they go off of what the crowd, if the crowd is booing or whatever, then they'll milk it, and if the crowd's cheering and stuff, then they all have their little tricks and stuff to get the crowd going, and they work it, and they're live actors, let's say, they're it's like almost like theater. It's not rehearsed. A lot of it is just off the cuff. You never know what's gonna happen. But for what he did, I think he did a pretty good job.
Cool. Well, thanks for your time, you guys. I hope that I know you've got to take off later tonight, and you're going to be around on Sunday, I believe you mentioned.
Yeah, I'll be here.
So, I hope you have a good Sunday, rest of the convention. Maybe I'll see you around. And Marilyn, thanks very much for coming out to this show. And
great pleasure.
And thank you both for the interview. So that's been some interview time here at TFcon 2013. And we've still got one more day, and I've got to go host a Faction Feud game show, and I don't know how that's going to go. So this might be the last you hear from me for a while. Thanks, guys. And
Thanks. Salut.
yeah, I'll see you guys later.
Okay. Thank you.